The man who chose silence over pride when he left his village. The soil of his farm was still warm beneath his feet. He knelt one last time, touched the earth that fed his family for generations, and whispered a promise to his wife, his 2 daughters, and his aging parents. "I'll make it," he said. They say dreams come true in America. To chase that dream, he sold everything: the farm, the animals, even tools his father once used. The money wasn't much, but it was hope packed into an envelope. His wife cried silently. His daughters hugged his legs, not fully understanding why their father had to leave. His parents forced smiles, hiding their fear behind prayers, with one suitcase and a borrowed jacket. He boarded a plain, believing sacrifice would soon turn into success. The promise of America, the city, was colder than he imagined. Buildings towered like walls around him. He was hired as a janitor in a commercial building, no office, no desk, just a cleaning cart and instructions he barely understood. He nodded to everything. "Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am." He didn't know that the job offer only covered work, not housing, not food, not insurance. By his 3rd night, he was sleeping in a homeless shelter. The room smelled of sweat, exhaustion, and broken dreams. He slept on a thin mattress, hugging his phone close to his chest because inside it were photos of his daughters smiling. Every night he whispered apologies they could not hear. Hunger and humiliation to save money. He skipped meals. Breakfast became water. Lunch became nothing. Dinner was sometimes a piece of bread he saved from work. At the building, co-workers laughed at his accent. Some ignored him. Others took advantage of him. He was given the worst jobs, the ones no one wanted. He scrubbed toilets clogged with filth. He cleaned chemicals without proper protection. He was sent outside the building, tied to a harness, cleaning windows from the 50th floor down to the 1st, wind shaking his body as cars looked like ants below. He was afraid of heights, but fear didn't matter when your family was hungry. Every payday, he went to a small remittance shop. Sometimes he cried quietly in line because the amount he could send was smaller than promised. One night, his wife messaged him. "Papa is sick," she wrote. "He needs medicine." He checked his wallet. Empty. He sat on the curb outside the shelter, hands shaking, tears falling freely. For the first time in his life, he felt useless. A son who couldn't help his father, a husband who couldn't provide. That night, he didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, asking himself if dreams were only for the rich. Betrayal and deportation. After 1 year, his body was weaker. He coughed often. He felt dizzy at work, but never complained. He didn't know he had no medical insurance. Then it happened. His work visa expired. A co-worker, someone he once shared food with, reported him. He was called into an office he didn't understand. Papers were signed he couldn't read. Within days, he was escorted to an airport. As the plane lifted off, he watched the city disappear beneath the clouds. "I failed," he whispered, "but they must never know. Home, but not free back in his country." He didn't go home. Instead, he went straight to the bank and deposited $25,000 USD, everything he earned in a year. That money, he decided, would be his family's proof that his sacrifice was worth it. He told them he was still abroad. To survive, he gave himself only Philippine peso 50,000. He refused to rent a room. Rent meant less food for his children. Electricity meant less medicine for his parents. So he lived on the streets. He slept under bridges, beside markets, behind closed shops. During the day, he pushed a rusty wagon, collecting trash others ignored: plastic bottles, scrap metal, broken phones, discarded appliances. People looked at him with disgust. He lowered his head and kept walking. From trash to purpose, he noticed other homeless people roaming the streets without direction. One day, he spoke to them. "I'll give you work," he said. "I won't give you pity." He bought more wagons. At first, the men he hired were careless. They collected useless trash. They wasted money. He fired them not with anger, but disappointment. Then he found the right people. They learned what had value: old phones, broken laptops, scrap metal, air-conditioned parts. Each wagon earned Philippine peso 3,000 per day. He gave Philippine peso 1,000 to each collector, fair pay, dignity intact. 5 wagons became 10, 10 became 15. He opened a junk shop, then a repair shop. Anything repairable was fixed and resold. Anything broken still earned money as scrap. He hired more homeless people. He fed them. He paid them fairly. Slowly, he became their hope, the moment that broke him. One afternoon, while pushing a wagon, he heard a familiar voice. It was his youngest daughter. She looked at him, then looked away, embarrassed. "That's not my father," she said to her friend. "My father works abroad." His chest tightened. Tears filled his eyes. He pretended not to hear. That night, he finally broke the truth. He gathered his family and told them everything: the deportation, the streets, the wagons, the lies. They didn't believe him. "A junk collector earns Philippine peso 500 a day," they said. "You can't fool us." The next morning, he went to the bank. He withdrew Philippine peso 4 million. He bought a Philippine peso 2 million house, a Philippine peso 1 million car, and invested Philippine peso 1 million to open a junk shop in their province. Only then did they understand. They cried, they hugged him, they apologized. Moral lesson: there is no shame in honest work. There is no failure in starting over. The real measure of a man is not where he works, but how much he is willing to sacrifice for those he loves.